Every day in business starts with a number. Output, productivity, efficiency, all measured in numbers, because data drives decisions. And if fire or water damage strikes, the numbers for your business can slow or even stop. Unless you know this one, 1-800-SERVPRO, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
Welcome to Sliced Pizza Bar, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both the Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
So many different nicknames for this track, Peter. It all equals one thing: great racing action. And like you alluded to, we have seen some insane side-by-side in practice. We've seen them jockeying for passing positions, trying to find what's going to work. It's going to be a wild race here tonight. It's the playoffs, too. That just makes it even better. Can't wait to see what unfolds here. 200 laps at Bristol. Buckle up, because this one's going to click away real quick.
Yeah, it is definitely going to click away real quick. Last week, though, when we were at the Roval out in Charlotte, it didn't click by so quick, but it did click by for the number 29 machine of Will Worcester, picking up win number 2 on the season. Greg, we saw an absolute dogfight last week. Christopher Bouchard started on the pole, got out to an early lead. He had to win to get into the round of 8. We'll highlight the playoff drivers here in just a second. But unfortunately, he dropped back, finished in 6th. Then we saw a great battle between Will Worcester, Tyler Seville, Doug Mullins. The Will Worcester racing team back at Charlotte at the Roval. They were on point, the 3 fastest cars in the last half of that race, picking up a 1-2-3 for the team. Huge win there for Will Worcester, getting himself into this round of the playoffs. It is the round of 8. Let's see if we can dial up the point standings coming into tonight, because the playoff points have been reset. And you can see down there at the bottom of your screen, Greg Evans comes into tonight with only a 2-point advantage. Same thing with John Jenkins. Same thing with Will Worcester. They picked up those bonus points here to start this round by winning races in the round of 12. But you can see there, Greg, Brian Yazek, Jimmy McKee, Adam Jureski, Alan Young, only just a handful of points behind the top 3.
That's the beauty of the reset, Peter. That just shows you, suddenly, if you barely make it in on the last lap of the race, such as Jimmy McKee and Adam Jureski did, all of a sudden, you're right back in the thick of things with this reset. And again, 3 races, 3 chances to lock yourself in with a win for those 8 drivers you see on screen right now. 5 drivers of those 8 you see did pick up a win at some point during the season entering this. All 5 of those wins came in the regular season, and then, of course, Greg Evans, John Jenkins, and Will Worcester were the drivers that won to get themselves locked in. Tyler Seville, Brian Yazek, Jimmy McKee, Adam Jureski, Alan Young in on points, but Seville and Yazek both visited victory lane during the regular season. McKee, Jureski, and Young still looking for that first win, and what better way to kick off the second round and with your first win of the season to lock you into the championship race.
Yeah, absolutely. And tonight, of course, it's Bristol. You and I know, Greg, that it could be a little bit tricky for these drivers to get around there. A little bit of crapshoot, kind of like a Joker race. Next week, we got Vegas, the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Las Vegas 200, where the drivers will be really rolling the dice. And then after that, we have another Joker race. That's at Talladega. So I think with the Jokers that you get, in Vegas, gambling, the Joker you have a little bit here tonight at Bristol, the Joker that is always Talladega, let alone it being the cutoff race here for the round of 8. I think we got a little bit of duty to do in the on the crap tables there next week in Vegas.
Absolutely. Call it the wild card round, Peter, because Bristol, Vegas, and Talladega, 3 very vastly different styles of racing coming to you here on 3YTV, the playoff push, and it is going to be a wild second round of the playoffs. And here we go, on track for qualifying. Looks like the first car out will be Pete Baskins in the number 27. Hasn't made every race, but boy, when we see him, he always loves to put on a show here on 3YTV. Pete Baskins is going to be the first car out on track for qualifying.
Yeah, definitely that DMLC Racing Channel machine working his way around the high banks here tonight. Gonna be interesting to see what lines these drivers use in qualifying. That's not the line you want to run, folks. You do not want to hit the wall, and that's not the line you want to run either, as the number 84 machine goes for a huge slide there in turn number 1 and 2. Woody Mahan there is the number 99. Clarence Bonner, he actually picked up a little bit of a prize with that number 99 scheme a little while ago. He was the best in show when we had the throwback race at Darlington a couple weeks back. There's the number 18 machine of Doug Mullins. And Greg, we've been highlighting Mullins pretty much all season for his pace, but he's yet to get to victory lane. Got so close at the Roval last week. We were kind of expecting him to get to victory lane, made a small mistake, took the horsepower out of that number 18 machine. Could he get to victory lane for the first time here tonight? As you see the Shriner Hospital for Children number 03, Tanner Sharp going around, and just like that, now we got Michael Whiting in the Brookside Equipment Sales number 44 working his way around this racetrack. So a lot of activity out there on the racetrack. Of course, this qualifying session gonna go by pretty quick here, Greg, with such a short racetrack like this at Bristol.
Absolutely, Peter. That's going to click away very quickly. Laps averaging 14 and a half seconds, just over that. As the fast time right now is Bonner's 14.634. So that gives you an idea of how quickly these drivers are negotiating this half-mile racetrack in 14 seconds. Ripping around on the wall, they are going to be flying around this track. Touching base, one driver has been in and out of the session quite a few times. Looks like he's having some connection issues. That is Craig Stykes, one of the Will Worsler Racing entries. He has been in and out of the session 3 times now since practice concluded during the drivers' meeting. So Stykes with issues. We'll see if the Talladega winner earlier this season can get himself into the session in time for the race. As you watch AJ Digby, the Iowa winner, did not run the full season, so was not eligible for the playoffs, but having a great rookie campaign in the number 14. Looking forward to seeing what he can do full-time next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, if you're watching the scoring pylon there on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see that the number 29 machine, Will Worsler, last week's race winner, trying to go 2 in a row here and lock himself into the next round of the playoffs. Because remember, Greg, winning you're in, with the only contingency to that, you start all the races, or at least you attempt to start all the races. Greg Evans in that number 2 machine, he was actually robbed of starting last week after having some technical issues just before the drop of the green flag. But great recovery for Evans, because he's sitting second on the board right now. There you see Brian Yazek. He's going to slot into 5th in the number 55 machine. Clarence Bonner and Jordan Harnish, though, kind of playing spoiler up there in the top 5. They are 2 non-playoff drivers. You can see the playoff drivers denoted in blue up there. Of course, if they lock themselves in next week, you'll see a driver with a green name on the board. That indicates that they've won a race in the round. And there's the number 7 machine of Jenkins, just knocking the outside wall just a little bit. He looks like that is going to be it for his qualifying run. He's going to slot into 8th. So here we see, Greg, on the left-hand side of your screen, all 8 drivers in this round of the playoffs have turned in a time, with Jimmy McKee and Tyler Seville 13th and 15th. They are the lowest placed drivers as of right now. A little bit of work to do for them.
So all 8 playoff drivers in the top 15, that spells good news, because that means all the playoff drivers have speed, which is, of course, what you want to see. You don't want to see a playoff driver struggling, especially in a key race like this at Bristol, where you're setting up your second round here. 28 drivers have taken time thus far. Doug Mullins was out there. He clipped the wall both times, so he will not get a valid lap here in qualifying. He'll be starting near the rear. There you see Chris Bouchard in the number 50 on your screen now. He, remember, was the driver who threw the Hail Mary at the Roval to try to get into this round. Led the first of, 20 laps or so before, unfortunately, the tires burnt off and he just wasn't able to recover. But remember what he said post-race, Peter. He said, well, looks like I'm going for 4 wins for the rest of the season to try to shut the rest of them out. Christopher Bouchard, a man on a mission for the rest of the season. Not the speed he's looking for, though. 26th of 28 right now.
Yeah, and of course we haven't mentioned it, but there are tire limits here in the Hacksaw PC Premier Cup Series, and Christopher Bouchard he knows that. And not only does he know that, he said, I'm just going to roll the dice a couple of times, try some different strategies, try to get to victory lane that way. They're kind of throwing up some sparks for the right side of that number 50 machine. That's not how you get to victory lane, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see him in victory lane before the end of the season. He has a lot of speed, Greg, and now he has nothing to lose. He can really throw the dice. He can throw everything at it. He can get off strategy. He can go out there and just do some crazy things, and we've seen crazy things prevail at certain portions of the season. Think back to what we saw in the American Regardless 300 that we had back at Charlotte. Definitely been some interesting strategy calls this season, and they've paid off for quite a few drivers.
Yeah, strategy was the name of the game at the Roval, like you just said there, Peter. Strategy came into play big time there. We know what Bouchard's strategy was. Get out front, lead as many laps as you can, and try to be there at the end. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, whereas the Will Worsler cars, they worked together, and they did a phenomenal job. That one-team mentality that Tyler Seville constantly talks about in the number 11. That is their mentality in that Will Worsler racing camp, and it proved big time last week at the Roval with a 1-2-3 finish. A lot of them thought that it was going to be Doug Mullins' night to shine. Unfortunately, that tap to the wall ended his chances at the win there. Mullins will be looking for a bounce back tonight, but he said he's not feeling too hot about this one. He is a little bit worried about this one, is Doug Mullins in the 18.
Yeah, that number 18 machine, like you said, currently not out there on the racetrack yet to put in a time, so we'll have to see him presumably come from the back of the pack here tonight. Same thing with John Van Varillas, Woody Mahan, Lee Staples, Craig Stykes, and Richard Fletcher. All of those drivers not putting in a qualifying time. 28 drivers have taken time, however, including Christopher Bouchard and Brad Lee. Both of those drivers did not set a time in the practice session that we had just a little bit ago, so they're going to be fresh out there on the racetrack. They're actually ran identical lap times down there in 26th and 27th. So what can they do? How can they learn the racetrack? Once they get on the racetrack in racing conditions, the track's going to be completely foreign to them. They're going to have to learn it as they go, and we'll see just how high up through the field they can get. But Greg, starting near the back on a short track like this, it can lead to a very long night. Definitely if there are accidents, it's so much harder to avoid them if you're near the back of the pack. Kind of even get on the brakes. With the fact that this racetrack is so tight and so fast, you don't often see a wreck happening in front of you. You really have to rely on your spotter for that call out. So I'm sure we'll see at least some accident here tonight where some driver just won't be able to see because they're down in the corner. They can't see that far ahead around the corner, and I'm sure we'll see it at some point here tonight there, Greg.
We saw a huge one in practice earlier, Peter. We saw a wreck happen in practice earlier, and we were watching it, and we were like, is this thing ever going to end? Poor Tanner Sharp was hit in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and by the time he came to a rest on his lid, he was all the way almost to turn 3. So that shows you just how quickly things can change and just how long a wreck can go if you're not not on the right side of the luck there for these guys for this track. 28 drivers have taken time thus far. A couple did not register a lap. Craig Stykes is still fighting those issues as he's fallen out yet again. Make it 4 for Craig Stykes, trying to get it in before the race, but with just 30 seconds left, looks like time is running out on the 57.
Yeah, that is going to be a huge heartbreak for that number 57 machine. I'm sure he wanted to be out there on the racetrack. Before we jump over here into the race session, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor here in the American Sim Racing Series, Hacksaw PC, jumping on board as a series sponsor this year. The title winner will win a Hacksaw PC. And if you want your own Hacksaw PC, maybe you're in the market for your gaming rig or maybe even an iRacing rig, go check out Hacksaw PC. Go check them out on Facebook. Good quality, affordable PCs that are fully customizable. You can basically tell them what you want and they will give it to you. And they're even going to give a little bit of customizability to the series title winner when this is all said and done here in a couple months. But definitely got to give them a huge shout out, as well as Dirty Bird Sim Racing for jumping on board and sponsoring tonight's race. But Greg, cars are out there on the racetrack, and they're going to be going around this racetrack pretty quick here. So why don't you take us through tonight's starting lineup?
Rolling off on the pole, last week's winner at the Roval, Will Worsler in car number 29 with his biggest rival on track this season, Greg Evans, in the outside pole position. They both won a race to lock into this round. Clarence Bonner and Jordan Harnish, great qualifying efforts for those two drivers, both sporting throwback schemes this weekend. They roll off 3rd and 4th. Brian Yazik, of course, paying tribute, as well as all of Loud Pedal Motorsports, to Bryce Whitson for the remainder of the season. He rolls off 5th in the 55 with Tim Knott in 6th, best starting position of the season for Knott. Adam Jersky, the Beef Jersky Cheesecakes entry, rolling off 7th with John Jenkins, the Richmond winner, to lock himself in a round of 8 in 8. Tanner Sharp back in the field after missing last week in 9th. Alan Young rounds out the top 10.
Starting in the 11th position on the inside of row number 6 is Jason Stewart. Grant Brown in the number 52 machine with the Mike Skinner throwback there, back to the Looney Tunes races back at Richmond. He'll be starting on his outside in 12th. On row number 7 on the inside, the number 9 machine, once again another throwback paint scheme on that 9. He will be starting from 13th, and to his outside, the McKee Lawn Care Services number 8 of Jimmy McKee. Starting in the 15th position here tonight, the number 34 of Kelsey Rogers with Tyler Seville, one of your playoff drivers. In fact, the playoff driver who's starting furthest back in the field, starting alongside him in 16th. On row number 9, that will be Troy Haight in the number 28 machine on the inside. James Lorello in the number 3 to his outside. Row number 10, Michael Krobach and AJ Digby rounding out your top 20, Greg.
Pete Baskins will roll off 21st in the Team DLC 27 with Cody Spiker to his outside. Sam Crow, Michael Whiting making up row number 12. Alex Kesey and Christopher Bouchard, 25th, 26th. Bradley, Richard Stallings, final cars to qualify. Cars that did not qualify and will round out the field from 29th is Doug Mullins, Woody Mahan, Richard Van Varellis, Richard Fletcher, Lee Staples, and set to start shotgun is Craig Stykes, who has connected but missed the grid. We'll see if he's able to roll off here once the green flag falls for missing the grid. But Peter, lights are out on the pace truck. It's Bristol, baby. 200 laps to distance. Field is going to be in the hands of last week's winner, Will Worsler, with Greg Evans to his outside. The battles those two have put on all season long have been spectacular. 200 laps at Bristol. Peter, are you ready?
I am absolutely ready. It's playoff racing as well. What twists and turns could we see here around this half-mile racetrack? We'll find out here in just a moment as the green flag in the flagman's hand. Will Worsler late on the loud pedal, and that's going to give the race lead to Greg Evans. He's got that preferred higher groove. We'll see a lot of drivers use that high groove and come out of turn number 2. You see it right there.
One car already around. One car already going first, Clyde.
That's the 03 of Tanner Sharp, and caution flag is in the air. Just one lap in. Tanner Sharp going to get that 03 machine pointed back in the right direction. Greg, let's see if we can dial up what happened here on this replay.
The Red TV replay on screen there. You see Sharp just getting loose there off of turn number 2. And fortunately, everyone else was able to get by. And you see just how quickly these drivers are driving past them at speed there. So Sharp is lucky he didn't get hit, but unfortunately Sharp, after having a huge wreck in practice, has the issue again here in this one to start the race off.
And what's a tough break there for Tanner Sharp is, remember, he started this race up there inside the top 10 on the inside of row number 5. So Tanner Sharp now going to find himself all the way back in 33rd. So he has a lot of work to do to get back up to where he qualified. Getting word that Craig Stykes will not make the start of the race. It looks like the team is loading up the number 57 machine, and it looks like it will be day done for Craig Stykes. So absolutely tough break there. We will definitely see whether or not Tanner Sharp can get back up to the front, but the pace truck lights are still on here, and Greg Evans, now your race leader. So far, he was able to get up to the front, led every one of the 3 laps as we flash by the start-finish line this time. And Greg, I think, currently inside the top 10 in the 7th position is Adam Jersky, the Beef Jersey's Cheesecakes machine. Remember, he's not one of the playoff drivers. Actually, excuse me, he is one of the playoff drivers. He actually just squeaked in last week into the playoffs. I take everything back, Adam. You are a playoff driver, and you out there running in that 7th position on the inside of row number 4 right now. But Greg, he's got some cheesecakes in that, and I'm sure we will find out what the Greg Wrench cheesecake of the week is here pretty shortly.
Yeah, so when a couple years ago we went over to Seattle for a family vacation, and while the rest of the group was grocery shopping downtown, well, not grocery shopping. Oh, we're going to have to finish it up later. We're 1 to green. This is going to go quickly. We'll finish up the story of the cheesecake of the race at the next caution, as they're going to click away here quickly at Bristol. We don't want to miss any of the action. We'll finish that up in a moment, as Greg Evans is going to lead them to green here in the number 2. Worsler to his outside. Bonner and Harnish, another car with cheesecake on it, up in 4th position now.
Greg, I think you had everyone in the chat just on edge, but now everyone in the chat should be on edge for another reason, because the green flag is about to fly for the 2nd time here tonight. Can Will Worsler get the lead back? No. Greg Evans early on the loud pedal. He's going to scoot away just a little bit, but here comes Clarence Bonner in the number 99 Patriot Media and Marketing Services machine on the inside of Will Worsler. Will's going to hold on to that race lead for now. Bonner now going to slide up behind him. There's some good racing. Oh, and Clarence Bonner.
There goes Bonner. Look out.
And caution flag back in the air. Oh, he got hit.
Spiker widening. And that's what we talked about, Peter. That was what we talked about how this thing can pile up drivers who are way back there because of how fast the speeds are here. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened here with Bonner. And much like Sharp, just broke loose.
Yeah, just broke loose coming out of the corner. You can see the pinball effect. Look at Michael Krobach getting involved in that one in the number 72 machine. That is not good. Woody Mahan is missing a front end as well. So a couple of the loud pedal motorsports machines here picking up a decent chunk of damage. Here we go on board with Krobach. Watch how fast this happens. Just like that. You just could not see through the cars in front of them, and definitely leads to quite a bit of damage. Michael Whiting in the 44 also damaged. Sam Crow in the 5. Here we go on board with the number 25 machine of Pete Baskins. Here we go looking forward, and oh man. Oh,
nowhere to go. Just how fast things happen at Bristol.
Yeah, definitely a tough break there for Pete Baskins. I think he's all right. He's got a little bit of right front damage, but definitely much better off than some of the drivers. Clarence Bonner on pit road right now. He's missing a rear end. He's missing a front end. I saw the 72 of Krobach smoking around the racetrack. Alex Giese in the number 77 also heavily damaged. But the number 72 of Krobach appears to be the worst damaged vehicle. In fact, I think I just heard his engine grenade, and Michael Krobach's night will come to an end. It goes no further, and that is just a tough break for Krobach, because Greg, he just barely missed out of this round of the playoffs. He was in that battle with Adam Jersky last week at the Roval. Just missed out by a couple of points, and now already looks like his Bristol race is toast.
And he was second in practice, Peter, so that's definitely a heartbreaker. But you mentioned Adam Jersky in the 69. He made it through that one, Peter, so he's going to stay in the 7th spot. Jersky's still good to go, and we're under caution, which means I can finish telling the story of when everyone else was doing their shopping in Seattle. I turned to them and realized what was next door and said, you know what, you guys finish up your shopping because I'm going to swing next door and get myself a nice big slice of banana cream pie cheesecake. That is this week's Greg Wrench Cheesecake of the Week, banana cream pie, throwback to a family trip to Seattle a couple of weeks ago. And now we got to figure out what next week's is, but we still got a long race at Bristol coming up. Banana cream pie, this week's Greg Wrench Cheesecake of the race.
All right, well, you heard it first here, folks. I don't think you'd hear it anywhere else. But I'll tell you what, hopefully that gets your taste buds watering. But talking about taste buds watering, because the green flag is back in the air, that's what we're here to see, a little bit of green flag action here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Greg Evans once again jumping out to a big jump, and here comes the number 29 of Warser Racing back coming out of turn number 2. And now Will Warser dive into the inside of Greg Evans, side by side for the race lead. We've seen that high side be strong. Warsler trying to get that drive through the center, unable to roll the middle like he needs to. And Greg, we're going to see that a lot here tonight. This is a variably banked racetrack. Tell the viewers what that means for those who might not know.
Variable banking, otherwise known as progressive banking, means the banking changes throughout the course of the facility from the wall down to the apron. The top groove is higher banked than, say, the middle groove, and then the lower groove down to the apron. It's progressively banked, so you have different degrees of banking, means you can run it differently, and that's why you see the multi-groove racing here at Bristol. Wasn't always like that, Peter. That was why you had the immensely popular, with the race fans, the bottom groove. You got them, bump them out of the way to make the passes. But with this progressive banking, it's opened up an entire new form of racing here for Bristol. Maybe trying to throw back a little bit there to the old bump and run, but man, we're working lap 17 here of 200. Worsler and Evans, we've seen this several times here this season as Brian Yosik is closing in third. But the progressive banking has really opened it up, Peter. They're all running the top right now, but I think we're going to see later on in the race, and you're seeing Greg Evans already try it out, I think you're going to see more and more cars make their way to the bottom before this race is over.
Yeah, I think so too. At this point in the race, it's all about managing your tires. You don't want to burn up your tires, because if you can save your tires better than the car in front of you, that definitely opens up your ability to use that lower line to make a pass. Here comes Worsler again, trying to make a move off into turn number 1. Tries to do the slide job, unable to do so. We're still side by side here. In fact, Worsler might have led that lap by a fraction of an inch. He did. Now Evans on the high side, and now we might see what I like to call the freight train. Now Brian Yazik's got to the right rear quarter panel of that number 29 machine. John Jenkins not all too far back, and Yazik is going to take that second spot using that higher groove. There's more banking up there. There is more grip on that high line. And now we can find out what Yazik can do with the number 2 machine. Big shout out to John Jenkins as well. In the number 7, of course, he's one of your playoff drivers. He's got himself up into the 4th position here in the early going, plus 4 positions. So good job by Jenkins to manage his stuff here in the early going, as we've already gotten past the 10% race distance, folks. If this race stays green, Greg, these laps will click away very, very quickly.
Averaging about 15 seconds a lap now, Peter. And right now, these top 4 drivers, in my personal opinion, Peter, these top 4 right now, Evans, Yazik, Worsler, and Jenkins, they were the strongest 4 cars in the playoffs. Yes, there was a different winner here in the playoffs. Well, 3 of those drivers with only 4. Brian Yazik didn't get a win, I should say, but Yazik ran very, very consistently all 3 races in that first round of the playoffs. Up in the top 5, finishing on the podium. Top 5s, I believe, in all 3 of the playoff races for the first round. So, in my personal opinion, these 4 right here were the 4 strongest in the first round. Not surprised at all to see them 1, 2, 3, 4 here early at Bristol.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give it also a big shout out to Tim Knott and that number 41 machine. You highlighted that he had a pretty good qualifying run. Well, he's one of the Dirty Bird Sim Racing machines, and of course tonight is the Dirty Bird Sim Racing 200 here at Bristol Motor Speedway, running up in the 6th position, flirting with the outside retaining wall with that spot that says the last great Coliseum, and this really is the last great Coliseum. You walk into this place and you're just awestruck with its size and its immensity. But here comes Grant Brown in that number 52 machine, diving to the inside. Another one of the Dirty Bird Sim Racing machines. Now he's got himself up into 6th with that pass. A little bit of a slide job there, Greg.
Grant Brown, Peter, he is running kind of a part-time schedule. We got a problem. Caution is out for the 3rd time here tonight. Problems behind. Looks like James Borello and a couple other cars sliding around. Tanner Sharp is involved. I believe we saw Doug Mullins there. Taking a look at the 3-wide TV replay. What put us under caution for the 3rd time here?
Well, this is another one of those Bristol things. This is a pretty common occurrence. Just coming out of turn number 4, the number 1 and the number 3 kind of had a little bit of a coming together, just enough to send James Lorello spinning. Let's see if we can get this one from high atop in the blimp cam. Here you go. Going off into turn number 3, Lorello on the inside. Now he thinks he can come back up the racetrack to cut off the number 1 machine, but there's just enough of a nudge. Comes back up the racetrack and boom, right into the path of Doug Mullins, and unfortunately Tanner Sharp right there in the 03 machine to get a piece of Mullins' number 18 machine. That Slice Perky Pints number 18 definitely in the wars here tonight. Same thing with this 03 machine. We ride on board with Tanner Sharp right here. He sees the accident, and then, man, Lorello just went up the racetrack, and when Lorello went up that racetrack, there wasn't much for the 18 machine of Mullins to do.
And did you see AJ Digby just barely squeeze through? Wonder if we can get one more look at this. Maybe from the Digby. Oh, we got something else we got to see here. This is right around the same time as the caution came out. Watching Tim Knott in the 41. Kelsey Rogers there peeking in the number 34. And this is right around the same time of the caution. And I understand there was actually something else that happened here. So there you see Mullins and Sharp. See the Patriot go through. Oh, behind it, Troy Haight and Brad Lee getting together.
Yeah, that was the 28 and the 01, kind of sandwiching the 01 in the wall. Let's see if we can see what happened here. Obviously, I think Brad Lee saw that accident. Oh no, Troy Haight saw the accident happen. He got on the binders, went down to the bottom side of the racetrack, and I don't know if he was trying to come up the racetrack to avoid another vehicle or what, but just like that, they had that coming together, and Brad Lee was kind of the meat in the sandwich there, and Brad Lee is going to take the 01 machine to the garage, which is not what you want to see here in the early going. Greg, a lot of attrition here early on.
So some patience being shown by some of our drivers, which is good because at Bristol, patience is definitely key. We've already had several drivers, Peter, park it for the night. Drivers out of the race that started include Clarence Bonner, Alex Giese, James Lorello, Brad Lee, and Cody Spiker. They have all parked it already for the race. So already some very fast cars out of the race. Clarence Bonner, remember, qualified up inside the top 5 and is already out of the race. That's a heartbreaker for Clarence Bonner.
Yeah, Michael Krobach sitting on pit road right now. His crew is trying to replace the engine on that Ford Mustang. He's 24 laps down. So we'll have to see whether or not he gets back in the field or not. I don't think he will, because they do kind of have a damage clock here in the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. So I think Krobach will have to take that 72 machine to the garage as well. But up at the front, the Pace truck lights continue to twinkle. Or nope, I take that back. They have turned off. That's why they're doubled up. I wasn't live on my screen, but I'm live on the left-hand side. So we're about to get set to go back green. Didn't miss it, folks. Pace truck dives down pit road. Race in the hands of Greg Evans. Keep an eye on that number 7 machine of John Jenkins. He got a fantastic restart. He's going to pole vault himself possibly up into the 2nd position to the outside of Yazik, getting that strong run coming out of turn number 2. We've seen this all night long. That high line definitely looking really, really strong. But 55 of Yazik doesn't want to give up. Can't do anything about it, though. Grant Brown, on the other hand, he's going to move up into the 4th position. Slide Will Worsford back to 5th, and he's under fire from the number 32 of Jordan Harnish, running that Tide Ride paint scheme. Got to keep that number 32 nice and clean here tonight at Bristol. Having Tide on the hood is one way to do it. Here comes the Beef Jerky's Cheesecake Machine trying to freight train Will Worsford, who's stuck on the inside.
Worsler is getting freight trained right now, Peter. He is falling all the way back. He was, remember, leading this race for a moment after starting on the pole, and here he is already shuffled back now to 7th at the line, and Alan Young is going to get around him for 8th here if he's not careful. Kelsey Rogers is going to try as well, so Will Worsler, the pole sitter, suddenly has his work cut out for him.
It is so difficult here at Bristol to make a pass. Will Worsler trying to get up to that high line, pinching Kelsey Rogers up there. He's in danger here of possibly falling out of the top 10. He's still digging down there on that low groove, got really tight coming out of the corner, and he's just going to give up. He said, I've had enough of it. I'm going to slot in here behind the number 34 machine as Tim not under fire from Jimmy McKee. This is the first side-by-side battle on the racetrack. McKee looks like he's going to take that spot from Tim Knott, but as I say that, Kelsey Rogers in the number 34 looks like he's going to take a spot from the number 24 of Alan Young to move Kelsey Rogers up to 7th. And that number 34 machine of Kelsey Rogers, he started back in 15th. He's up to 7th, folks. One of the biggest movers here in the early going, and he's looking for more, trying to get around Adam Jerkson.
Biggest mover of the race is back in 17th position right now, Peter. Lee Staples started 33rd in the number 26, is up to 17th, was 16th last time by, but Mahan was able to get back around him. That number 26 is moving and grooving through the field right now. Started 33rd, that time at the line 16th. He's almost up 20 spots already in just 43 laps at Bristol.
And how about Kelsey Rogers in that number 34 machine? Just got himself up to the 5th position, trying to track down Grant Brown. Up at the front, though, we're starting to see gaps develop. Greg Evans and that number 2 machine now up to about a second lead over John Jenkins. Brian Yazik about a half a second behind the 7, and then it's a good gap back to Grant Brown, who's under fire here from that number 34 machine of Kelsey Rogers. They're side by side. You're going off into turn number 1 and 2. But what I'm starting to notice here, Greg, is that low line for certain drivers like Kelsey Rogers is really coming in. In fact, Greg Evans, your race leader, he's favoring the inside line. So maybe we're starting to see the race track transition just a little bit to that low groove. Remember, we had all that practice kind of in the dusk to sunset time frame, and now the racetrack gone completely dark, minus the bright lights around this racetrack. So track conditions might be changing and might be favoring that lower groove.
Remember, we talked about that early in this race, how we expected to see the bottom come in, but I wasn't expecting it this quickly. I was expecting it right around the halfway point, drivers would start making their transition down, but we're already seeing it now. Peter, here's a question for you. These drivers have not changed tires yet, at least some of them. I have a feeling Lee Staples is on fresh tires with how he's able to charge through the field right now. When they come in for the fresh tires, is the same thing going to happen, or are they going to be able to run the top once again?
It really depends on how much rubber's laid down and how different the racetrack races when it has rubber on it. I mean, right now, we're still seeing some drivers run up near the top for sure. Those drivers rubbering in that top groove, heating up that top groove as well. You have to remember that since this racetrack is so fast and is concrete, you drop a lot of hot rubber down on the racetrack. There's a lot of friction that goes into the racetrack, heats it up, and changes the grip characteristics. So what we might see is we might see some drivers migrate down to the bottom of the racetrack. The bottom groove heats up, then they transition to the top side of the racetrack, and vice versa. But we have a battle for the 3rd position. Kelsey Rogers, not much of a battle anymore. He's going to get himself up to 3rd, just got around Brian Yazik. In the 55, we see the replay right here. Drops down to the bottom, coming out of turn number 4. Watch how good of a run he gets right here through the center of the corner. Gets the power down early. Boom. That's how you make a pass at Bristol, folks. Kelsey Rogers now up into 3rd. Alan Young in the number 24 machine. He's one of your playoff drivers. Haven't really mentioned him in that Young Gun Creations 24 machine, but he's put together some really solid runs in that Chevrolet. And now he's right behind that HPPsimulation.com 40. He's trying to get the 4th position, but this time on the high groove.
Alan Young has been one of those drivers who has been threatening to get that breakthrough first Hacksaw PC's Premier Series victory here, Peter, and he is running very well once again, moving in the 4th position now, trying to track down Kelsey Rogers in the number 34. But Alan Young making the playoffs, got through to this round on points in the round of 8, trying to lock himself into the championship race, doing a nice job here thus far. Remember, If a playoff driver wins this race, he's through to the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to go for it in this round. Looking a little bit further back, Grant Brown has actually been sliding backwards in that Mike Skinner-inspired number 52 machine. There's Christopher Bouchard. Remember, Bouchard was one of those drivers who did not qualify as Grant Brown smacks the outside wall a little bit there through the center of 3 and 4. But Bouchard has also had a fantastic run up through the field. He's gained 16 positions, Greg. Started 26th, he's up to 10th, and now we got a battle for the second spot growing as Kelsey Rogers has all but caught the number 7 of Jenkins. That number 34 is on a tear here tonight.
Kelsey Rogers is on a mission to get this win, Peter. He has not run every race this season, running part-time this season. He is trying to fly through the field, but Peter, look ahead of him for a moment. Tyler Seville, playoff driver for Will Wursler Racing, is already 1 lap down here, just past a quarter of the way through it. There you see him in the Slice Porcupine Chevy Camaro. 2-time winner and playoff driver, already a lap down. Not how you want to start your second round of the playoffs. But behind him, Kelsey Rogers has gotten around Jenkins for second, and Alan Young has caught up to this as well.
Yeah, Seville definitely not having a good night in that number 11 machine. You see the 34 and the 7 get on by, and like you said, Alan Young on a mission right here, trying to close in on the number 7 machine. Meanwhile, up at the front, Greg Evans has checked out, folks. You see it right there on the left-hand side of your screen, up to about 4 seconds between the number 2 and the number 34, and he isn't slowing down. Greg Evans, over the last 5 laps, has been 0.3 of a second faster on average than Kelsey Rogers. Now that Rogers has a little bit of clean air, we'll see if he can make a move, as here comes the 24 machine to the outside of Jenkins. The Young Gun Creations, number 24, up to a podium spot at this point of the race. How about Jimmy McKee, the number 8, McKee Lawn Care Services machine, starting to make some noise. He's now up to 5th after getting around Brian Yazik's HPBsimulation.com Ford. So we're seeing the playoff drivers come to the front here.
Peter.
Yep.
Oh, problems for Jersky. That's a playoff driver with Brandon Stokes. But Peter, up at the front, Greg Evans is in heavy lap traffic. He's got 3 of them down so far, but there are cars all around the number 2. That is looking out the windshield. My driver's ed teacher called this a, quote, Bobo pucker factor, unquote. That's what Greg Evans is experiencing right now, trying to sort through all this lap traffic.
And Greg Evans has just got to be patient here, Greg. He just has to pick them off one at a time. He's there behind some slower traffic. He knows that Kelsey Rogers will be closing in on him pretty quick, but he's got nowhere to go. He just has to ride this one out. Now he's going to jump to the outside of Mullins and Lee Staples here. And that's what he just has to do. Just has to wait, be patient. He knows that there'll come the opportunity to pass these cars. He knows he's pretty much the fastest car out there on the track. As, man, a little bit of a stack up there. You can just see, oh, Richard Fletcher in the number 43 machine just had a moment coming out of the corner. Let's see if we can possibly dial up a replay of the number 43 machine. Contact with Jordan Harnish on the backstretch. Let's see if we can see what happened here. Coming out of turn number 2 right here. I can't really see what happened, but looks like the number 32 just got a huge run. Maybe Fletcher checked up and the 32 wasn't expecting it, but almost a caution there. They're able to keep on going. You haven't missed all too much because Evans is just about where he was. Still stuck behind these lap traffic.
Kelsey Rogers has caught this group as well. He's beginning to slice through it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's now within a second of these cars, and the number 2 of Evans still stuck up there on the high group behind Troy Hayden. Of course, these drivers, they don't want to fall a lap down here, Greg, because if they do, that's just going to put them a lap down. They might lose the lucky dog. They might be stuck a lap down for the whole race. You don't want to give up that 1 lap advantage. You want to stay on that lead lap, but now looks like Greg Evans able to get past the number 41 machine of Tim Knott. Oh, caution. Oh, car around. Oh, it's way
Look out. Oh, they made it through. Oh, my goodness. Doug Mullins was sliding down right in front of Greg Evans, and another car, didn't see who that was, slid up in front of Kelsey Rogers, forced him high. Here's a look at the 3-way TV replay. Oh, boy.
boy, that was almost a disaster there. Mullins and Troy Haight. And it was Woody Mahan that was spun around in the 84 machine. Let's see if we can see what happened between him. Looks like he's trying to get around Grant Brown here. Got a lot of damage on that race car. That's Pete Baskins in the 27 right behind him. Was there contact here coming out of the corner? Yeah, there was. Just a little bit of a hit check.
Mahan looks good there, though. Able to make it through that corner. Wonder if there's more.
Yeah, let's see if we could. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
went
the
a little
84
bit too far back. There's the second batch of contact. And then watch this, because here comes that lap traffic, and the leaders are right there. You see the bright green car. Wow. Oh, my goodness. That is a heart attack for Kelsey Rogers and Greg Evans right there.
Yeah, Kelsey Rogers, fantastic job of going around the outside. Let's see this on board the number 34 machine. Your race leaders are on pit road right now, so we'll come back to that in just a second. But look at this number 34. Gets on the brakes, goes high, goes high. Oh, that is so fortuitous for that number 34 machine just to get past the damaged 84. But there's your race leader, Greg Evans. I think Lee Staples might have been your lucky dog under this caution. Greg Evans going to handily win the race off pit road. Looks like behind him, Kelsey Rogers going to come out second, then John Jenkins, Alan Young. But we are getting word that possibly Grant Brown elected to stay out, lead one lap. Now he's coming down pit road in the number 52 machine. But definitely,
He did not lead the lap, did he?
Well, that's a tough break. It was really close at the line between him and Greg Evans. But that's what those drivers who are racing the number 2 machine so hard, that's what they were hoping for. They were hoping to get that caution so they could stay on the lead lap or get that lucky dog, because that could have been their race. Had they have fallen down a lap, they might not have ever got that lap back. So that is why you race the leaders hard at this point of the race. Yes, they're a playoff driver. Yes, you give them space, but you still race them hard. If you're one of those drivers about to fall a lap down, I don't blame them. And luckily, all of our leaders able to get away with no damage on that one. Unfortunately, Doug Mullins and Woody Mahan picking up significant damage. In fact, I believe Doug Mullins and Woody Mahan have both called it a night. The number 84 and the number 18 crews going to the hauler. Tough break for them. We'll have 24 cars still left in the field here when we go back to green flag in just under a lap.
So we'll see how it goes here on this restart, Peter. We're almost halfway, too. We're on lap 78 of 200. Clicking away, that just shows you how quick this thing's going to go at Bristol. If you get a nice long green flag run like we did, that was a awesome green flag run. Watching the leaders slice through traffic. Let's rack them, stack them, and do it again. 20 cars on the lead lap. Pace truck is in. We're going back green at the last great Coliseum.
And of course, all of your leaders came down pit road. They all got fresh tires, so put those 4 fresh tires on them. They've reset. Now, from here, they could technically make it on fuel, Greg. And it's going to be interesting to see if oh, man, big wiggle there out of the number 34 machine. Does he have a tire going down or something? Because that was a huge wiggle out of that number 34 machine. We'll have to see if we can go back and get a replay of that. But that was really, really strange. I haven't seen a car wiggle like this on iRacing pretty much ever. It looked like he got loose, and it just kind of kept wiggling. It looked like a tire had gone flat. He's back up to speed. He lost the spot to John Jenkins, but now Kelsey Rogers going to slot into third. Let's see if we can see this from the onboard camera. Here going off into turn number 3, gets into the corner. Oh, man, just
a little too hard.
Great save.
Amazing save there by Jenkins in the number 7. Just a little bit too much of a bobble there. Boy, back here for 4th place right now. Actually, no, excuse me. That is... Yep, I was like looking at it. Chris Bouchard, who is up 21 positions, mind you, in the number 50, is hounding Alan Young right now in the number 24. Took a swipe at him right here last lap. Wasn't able to get the pass, but Christopher Bouchard up 11 positions in the wall. John Jenkins right in front of him. Number 7, John Jenkins, playoff driver, Richmond winner, slid up and just tapped the wall. Able to hang on and only lose 1 spot to Rogers. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, I think this is a similar deal. Got off into the corner, got wicked loose, had to go up the racetrack to save it. Oh man, fantastic save. And looks like he was just barely able to keep it off the wall from the blimp cam. Looked like he had hit the wall from the television angle, but that blimp cam able to show that he was able to keep that number 7 clean, but he will lose the position back to 3rd. Now looking back a little bit further, look at the number 24 machine, Alan Young, being hounded by the number 50 of Bouchard, and behind him, Brian Yazik running that high line, and Jimmy McKee trying to use that low line to his advantage in that McKee Lawn Care Services Chevrolet, trying to make that pass. This would be for the 6th position. Yazik currently holds it, but McKee wants it, and there's Adam Jersky rounding out your top 8, and then you find Will Worser in the number 29 machine. Remember, Greg, he got freight trained earlier on in the race. Maybe he's just thinking about saving his tires under this run, because remember, he kind of was shot out like a cannon early in the race, tried racing Greg Evans really hard for the race lead, but under this run, it seems like he's pacing himself just a little bit.
Just hanging back, watching. Meanwhile, here you see the leader, Greg Evans, trying to get around Jordan Harnish, and that has allowed Kelsey Rogers to close back in. John Jenkins as well. Both Rogers and Jenkins have done a fantastic job shaping the cobwebs off after those slides there to get back up into the mix here with Evans right now.
You know, even though Jordan Harnish and that number 32 machine appears to be off the pace, it is not easy to get past any car, even if they're slow. You definitely saw there that the two had to check up and allowed Kelsey Rogers to catch up to his back bumper, and now a lot of the field back behind them have to contend with the slower traffic of Van Varellis, who unfortunately has quite a bit of damage in that Stavros Pizza House Chevrolet, running in the 19th position, as well as the number 32 of Jordan Harnish with that Tide Ride. He's got the Beef Jerky's Cheesecake Emporium on the hood of that number 32 machine. Great looking paint scheme, a little bit of fun as well. Harnish running down in the 18th position after some earlier damage, but here comes Jamie McKee, still trying to get around that number 55 of Yazik. Not able to do so here. I think he's just being patient at this point of the run, Greg. He knows that on the long run, he had pretty good pace under that last green flag run that we had, and I think he's just biding his time, saving his stuff. He's not really pushing the deal just yet, and I think that's what you got to do here, as this race kind of, again, has that green flag feel to it.
Yeah, coming up on halfway already, Peter, as we're about 5 laps from halfway, as Greg Evans is now pulling back away from it. But like you said, the green flag feel is helping these guys settle in and just click some laps away and try to formulate their next move. Not pushing it. They're not having to be up on the wheel. Desperation moves. They're able to hang out and come up with a strategy for it. So that's what McKee's doing right now, just hanging back there, planning a move with Yazik to try to set him up for a move. Remember, this is for 6th on the position. Both these drivers are playoff drivers, so there's more on the line than just 6th position on the charts right now. That's playoff points, and with just 3 races until the cutoff into the final 4, that is huge implications here.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with how tight points were once they were reset. Let's see if we can bring up the points graphic so you can just see how tight the point standings were. Like you can see down there, Greg Evans, John Jenkins, Will Worcester, 2-point advantage for each of them, but then you had 4 drivers tied on points, and Alan Young 1 point back of them. So definitely, it's going to be tight. I mean, a lot of these drivers here tonight, if they have a rough night, like what we're seeing out of the number 11 of Tyler Seville, running down in 19th, 1 lap down, you know, you're going to have a lot of ground to make up going into next week at Las Vegas, and let alone going to Talladega, which, like you said, it's a wild card at Talladega. I said tonight was a little bit of a wild card because you don't know how the accidents are going to fall. You've seen tonight some drivers get collected up in them, none of their own doing. But Talladega, that's even bigger of a wild card. The big one, your draft partners, who gets involved in scuffles, pit stops, everything at Talladega can be an absolute wild card. So there's a lot to play for in this round as well, because you want to get into that final round of 4 to end up possibly with a Hacksaw PC.
Yeah, that's the big hoopla. That's the prize on the line here for our series champion, the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, getting a brand new custom Hacksaw PC. So that's what's on the line here, and these drivers want that. They know they want a shot at it to get that Hacksaw PC. Caution is out just past halfway.
Caution flag is out. We're trying to see why the caution flag is out. I see. Oh, it's on the front stretch. Lee Staples, the StepTire.com number 26 machine, has gone around. And did he blow an engine and that led to the spin? I think it did. So that is just a tough break for Lee Staples. Kind of one of those random engine grenades. Let's see if we can see it here. Is this where it goes kaboom? Yes, it does. And it just kind of sends him into the inside wall there, Greg.
That's a tough one for Lee Staples. Remember, we checked in with him. At one point, he was up almost 20 positions in this field. So on board here with Lee Staples. Coming through turn 3 and 4 here. And right there, kabam.
Yeah, you could see that it looked like you could feel that engine just giving up the ghost before that big plume of smoke out the back. But folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to step away for just a brief moment to a quick commercial here on 3Y TV. And we'll be right back for Bristol for the second half of the race.
Welcome to Sliced Pizza Bar, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both the Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
Life happens everywhere. Like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com.
Because I may or may not be able to.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Bristol 200. We have just gotten into the second half of the race. Greg Evans in the number 2 machine has, I believe, led every single lap of this race so far. The number 34, Kelsey Rogers, is going to try and take the lead from him here on this restart. But Greg, we've seen Greg Evans in that number 2 machine be very, very stout all season long. And here again tonight, showing how fast he really is.
Yeah, no surprise, Peter, to see Greg Evans in the number 2 running as strong as he has. 10 wins on the season, but the pace truck is off.
A little bit of connection issues there with Greg Rentz, but the green flag is back in the air. And it looks to me like Greg Evans in that number 2 machine, he's figured out how to do these restarts, because here again, getting out to 2 or 3 car length advantage over Kelsey Rogers. John Jenkins going to slide up in front of the number 24 in 3rd. Alan Young, he's finished up there inside the top 5 many times this season, yet to get a win in that Young Gun Creations machine. He's in 4th. Jimmy McKee, another one of your playoff drivers, and currently the 4th placed driver out of the playoff drivers, I do say. He is currently in 5th. And then you find Brian Yazik, Adam Jersky, Will Worcester, the other playoff drivers right behind him. Then you have to go a long way back to Tyler Seville, who is back on the lead lap. That's the good news for Tyler Seville, but he's down in the 17th position here, Greg. Long way up for that number 11 machine.
Yeah, Tyler Seville is going to have to fight here from here on in the number 11. Final car on the lead lap in 17th position. And it's a little bit ahead before Troy Haight, the next car up there. As remember, Seville got the lucky dog, so he had to start tail end of the line. Troy Haight is about 2 seconds up there right now in the number 28. As Seville trying to close in. 17 cars on the lead lap right now, Peter. We're in the second half of this race. Laps clicking away. There you see Jimmy McKee and Alan Young, both in the top 5, in need of good runs, and they are both getting those good runs right now.
One driver that we haven't mentioned all too much tonight, currently inside the top 10, is the number 1 machine of Jason Stewart. And Greg, you and I talked about this paint scheme prior to the race, and we went, wow, that is one clean ride, pun intended, because that number 1 machine not only looks good, but is fast here tonight, running inside the top 10, right behind playoff driver Will Worcester and that number 29 machine, last week's race winner. In the penultimate round of the Serve Pro Wheelman Showdown, got to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Serve Pro. In fact, it's not only Serve Pro who sponsor the league, but Shane Parrish, who runs the Serve Pro Nearest B up in Grapevine, Texas, just northwest of Dallas, around the DFW airport. Great supporter of the series. The Serve Pro Wheelman Showdown, folks, is coming to an end. Last week was the penultimate round. Make sure you don't miss it. It'll be not only with the penultimate round of the championship, but it'll also be the final round of the Serve Pro Wheelman Showdown, so you do not want to miss that here in a couple weeks on 3 Wide TV. Same place, same time in a couple weeks from now. We'll have to figure out who's going to win that steering wheel. Will it be Greg Evans or Tyler Seville? Only time will tell. Those are the 2 drivers really left in the running for that steering wheel prize. But it will be an awesome race when we get there. An awesome race here tonight as we are continued to race under green flag conditions here at Bristol. But great to see green flag running here in this middle portion of the race, Greg. We saw a couple of cautions early on, and then that kind of gave way to a little bit of a green flag run. And here we go into this green flag run. Greg Evans continuing to pull away in that 2 machine.
1.1 seconds was the gap last time to Kelsey Rogers. But remember, Evans had caught lap traffic, not that pass caution, but the caution before, which was what allowed Kelsey Rogers to close back in. When they're in clean air, Evans has a dang near unstoppable duct tape number 2 Camaro right now. As you're on board with Will Worcester, the number 29, who's trying to make his way back up. He was the pole sitter in that number 29 Slice Perky Pints entry. Up on Adam Jersky right now, the Beef Jersky's Cheesecake car, who in turn is up on Brian Yazik. 3 more playoff drivers right there. Jason Stewart was eliminated from the playoffs last week, but he is still out there looking for wins. He's to the inside of Worcester now, running that very, very nice number 1 entry tonight as they click laps away. And Peter, the quicker these laps click away, the quicker we're going to be able to get ourselves set up for the finish here. Closing in on 70 to go already, just under 75 to go. And with how Richmond went, honestly, it's not too surprising to see them clicking them away here.
Yeah, we definitely had a great race at Richmond a couple of weeks back. John Jenkins in the number 7 machine got the winner. Remember how he did it, Greg? He had some different pit strategy on that Max Pappas Innovations number 7 machine. He elected to come down pit road, I think around lap number 50, when a lot of the leaders stayed out. And then we had a long green flag run, 150 or so laps. But speaking of flags, yellow flag is back in the air. Brandon Stokes in the number 9 machine has gone around on the back straight. We'll see if we can dial up a 3 Wide TV replay here, Greg.
Take a look at Brandon Stokes. He's finally getting a run. Oh, not quite sure what happened there. I'm taking a look at that.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see this one maybe from the blimp cam to kind of make sense of it. Because the 52 of Brown's on the high side, the 9 of Stokes on the inside, and it looks like the 52 might have come down the racetrack on the backstretch, and they made just a little bit of contact. Grant Brown able to save it. I don't think Brandon Stokes got a whole lot of damage, although he did make contact with the inside wall. Let's see this from on board with the number 9 machine, trying to make that pass on Stokes. Gets here on the backstretch. You know what, Greg? I think it's one of those deals where it's a 50-50. I think the 52 came down. I think the 9 might have been going up the racetrack. They just met in the middle. It was one of those things where, from the first view, it looked like the 52 came down, but then on board with the number 9 machine, it almost looked like he came up the racetrack. So definitely a coming together. Brandon Stokes here is gonna pull to the side of the racetrack, and looks like he's gonna have an end of longest line penalty. But here comes John Jenkins coming down pit road with 68 laps to go or so. He's pretty much the lone driver currently coming down pit road. I don't see all too many others. It looks like Troy Haight, Tyler Seville coming down pit road, Christopher Bouchard in the 50. So a couple of drivers get off sequence here just a little bit. That worked out for the number 7 machine a couple weeks back when we went to Richmond, but will it work out for him here tonight, Greg?
He's going to have quite a few laps fresher tires than the rest of the field. I think this might work out for him if he can get through the field quick enough. That's going to be the determining factor in this, Peter. How long does it take John Jenkins to get through the field? That's what it's going to be that determines whether or not this works out.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Of course, with him being a playoff driver, there's a lot more on the line for him here tonight. I mean, I guess there was similar back at Richmond, but he made it work before. We'll just have to see if he can do it again here tonight. Currently down in the 14th position. So starting on the outside of row number 7, presumably for this restart here in just a moment. So going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out for him in that machine. Kind of curious to know if the pace truck lights stay on here. I'm going to see if maybe we can get a quick word with driver of the number 7 machine, because, man, this is going to be an interesting call. I don't want to drag him up here if the pace truck lights turn off, which they might do. We'll see here. So they have turned off. So, we'll have to see. I'm really curious to know what's going through the number 7 machine's head right now. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. These pace laps just a little bit too short here at this racetrack. Brandon Stokes in the number 9 machine has, I thought he might have taken it to the garage, but he has not. He has just got the end of longest line penalty. So, we'll have to see whether or not he comes back out there, because I don't see him out there on the racetrack. So, I don't know. We'll follow up with that one. But, Greg, pace truck going to head down pit road here.
Pace truck dives off, and here we go. Nice restart again by Greg Evans. Oh, some contact between McKee and Rogers there on the start, as Kelsey Rogers really did not get going, which allows Alan Young to get the run for the second spot. But Rogers able to fight back. But, man, oh, man. Kelsey Rogers, I don't know if he spun the tires or if McKee was just quick on the gun, but either way, they hit on the restart. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, I think that number 34 machine definitely spun his tires just a little bit, got in the loud pedal just a smidgen too soon. Remember, he's on about 60 lap old tires. Let's see this right here. See if we can see a little bit of a wiggle out the back of that number 34 machine. I think there might have been, but he might have just been caught sleeping there. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, Kelsey Rogers now about already a second behind the number 2 of Evans. Jimmy McKee now running in 3rd. Alan Young, who was running in 3rd a little while ago, he's back to 7th in the Young Gun Creations machine. Here comes Christopher Bouchard trying to take the spot away from Adam Jersky. He has done so, and now he's trying to take a spot from the number 8 machine. Makes it look easy. Christopher Bouchard now up into 3rd.
What he said last week, Peter, he said, well, I have 4 races to win. Wow, already John Jenkins up to 7th, going for 6th now, and now 5th on them. John Jenkins, those fresh tires are working perfectly right now. He is already cracking the top 5 with this pass on Jersky.
Well, remember, not only did he come down pit road, Bouchard came down pit road as well. So Bouchard, actually the first driver out there on fresh tires, pitted just 9 laps ago. Let's see if we can bring up the lap since pit up at the top of your screen. because Bouchard, much fresher tires than Evans. There you see a 56 lap difference between Evans and the number 50 machine, and Bouchard absolutely closing in on that number 2 machine. There's nothing Evans can do here. Half a second faster last time by, and yeah, he said it, Greg. Goodbye. Christopher Bouchard is your race leader. I think this is the first lead change we've had since the drop of the green flag. We'll have to see. I think, oh yeah, Will Worcester led 1 lap. I'm hearing in my ear. He led it by probably 6 inches, but he did lead 1 lap. But now, Christopher Bouchard, first man to lead 2 or more laps in this race, except for the number 2 machine of Greg Evans.
Keep going. Chris Bouchard on those fresher tires, flying through the field, and John Jenkins doing the same thing as he is closing in. You're on board with Jenkins, the 3-time winner. Remember, Jenkins led the regular season points for 25 of 26 races, came up just short to that man in front of him, Greg Evans. Now Jenkins to the inside, and Evans saying, nope, you have it, buddy. You're on fresher tires than I am. As they cross the stripe, Jenkins second. Bouchard already 2 seconds ahead of this right now. Bouchard trying to click away as many laps as he can right now, but he's made his bed in that number 50. There's Tyler Seville in the number 11. He's up to 4th, trying to close in, also on those fresh tires. So these drivers with the fresh tires going for it. Great comeback for Tyler Seville. The question is, Peter, if we get another caution and the rest of these guys can pit, that's going to be big for them. The problem is, if we stay green, I don't think they're going to have enough time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if they don't have any more cautions here tonight, man, Bouchard, Jenkins, Seville, they're in the captain's seat. If we have a caution, Greg Evans and company, they're going to put on those 4 fresh boots. They're going to be much faster. So we're just going to have to wait and see. We've seen some decent green flag runs, but now we're going to have to see a long green flag run, 50-plus laps for drivers like Bouchard, Jenkins, and Seville to go to victory lane. I'm not going to say it won't happen. It can definitely happen. These drivers here in the American Sim Racing Series, Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, they're in the Premier Series for a reason. That's because they know how to drive and they know how to put on a show. And they also know how to keep the race green flag. I know it's been a while since we last had a green flag race with no cautions, but I think there's actually a caution, no caution bounty, and I think it's up to $180, folks. That's a lot of money for the top 18 finishers to each get $10 for a caution-free race. It's not going to happen here tonight, so I think it will move on to next week at Las Vegas. It'll be up to $190 at Vegas. Just adding $10 more to the pool. And maybe that's what these drivers are thinking about. That, you know, maybe we just keep getting that bounty higher and higher, and then we'll think about having a caution-free race.
Man, we thought that, what race was it that we thought, hey, I think it was Pocono. One of the Bouchard wins, actually. Yeah, the Bouchard win. We thought that it was going to be like, hey, Pocono, 30, 35 laps. We hit 2 of them that night. This could be the doubleheader. This could be when we see no caution. Both races had wrecks on the first lap, so we were like, wow. Okay, so that's going to happen. No doubleheader at Pocono next year. There will be a doubleheader in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Venue to be determined, but it will not be Pocono, but there will be a doubleheader in this series next year at a venue to be determined.
And could you imagine like a doubleheader at Nashville Fairgrounds with some type of random invert in between them? That would be an interesting one. I know Jim Foose likes Nashville Fairgrounds, so just want to put that in his mind here tonight. But meanwhile, your race leader, Christopher Bouchard, heavy in traffic. You right on board with the second place number 7 machine of John Jenkins. He's having to navigate that traffic as well. But all this traffic has allowed Bouchard to really close in. Jenkins really close in on the back number of Bouchard here as they continue to navigate their way through. But one thing I think that's interesting here, Craig, is the fact, the 7 machine has a run on the number 50. These are teammates, remember, folks. Momentum Sim Racing got the number 7 of Jenkins, and looks like Jenkins going to sail on by. Bouchard back to second, Jenkins up to the race lead. But what I was going to say, Greg, is it's really interesting to see these front drivers have now pulled out 5.5 seconds on Greg Evans, now up to 6 seconds on Greg Evans. This racetrack is only about 15 seconds as Brian Miyazik in the 55 machine, he's going to go a lap down here. That is just immense for one of your playoff drivers. Same thing with Alan Young.
But all three of these drivers that just went a lap down, playoff drivers. Right. 9 cars on the lead lap right now by John Jenkins and Chris Bouchard, the Momentum Sim Racing teammate. This is something going on right here.
Well, what I was going to say was this racetrack is only 15 seconds long. And with the pace that Jenkins and Bouchard are running, they could potentially catch Greg Evans and put him a lap down. I mean, they're closing in on Kelsey Rogers. They're only about 2.5 seconds behind Rogers in that number 34 machine from putting him a lap down. I mean, we could only have 4 cars on the lead lap here in about 10 laps or so, as Jenkins continuing to put cars a lap down. He's now gotten to the back bumper of AJ Digby. Digby now running in the 9th position, but now we have a little bit of gaggle of cars for the number 7 machine. Jenkins not even going to care here. He's going to go 3 wide down there in the bottom, put AJ Digby down a lap, and almost the number 29 machine of Will Worsler. He's one of the playoff drivers. He's going to go a lap down here.
That's your pole sitter tonight, Will Worsler in the 29 that John Jenkins is about to lap. I tell you, Peter, if this thing stays green the rest of the way, these drivers who have... Yes! Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. John Varela's hanging on. We stay green. I thought for sure we were going to see the yellow flag, and that was going to change the complexion of this race once again. Let's take a look at the 3Y TV replay.
All right. Walmart underwear aisle. All these drivers need new ones right here. Man, that was nuts.
Caution!
Oh, that's going to change everything. Was it the 78 machine? Tim Knott. Oh, Tim Knott.
And Alan Young, a playoff driver.
Well, we're going to figure out what happened here. Tim Knott went around in the 41 machine.
Lot of damage. You saw the damage there. Let's take another look at this. There's Grant Brown, the 52. There's Alan Young. Okay. We're backtracking. We're getting it. Oh, there you see Tim Knott hitting the wall behind him.
Yeah, that number.
There's Alan Young. That was 2 separate accidents, Peter. That was 2 separate incidents. All right, here's Alan Young.
Okay, he's running behind Sam Crow. So 24 on the high side, 5 on the inside. Oh,
he
just
bounced
off the 8. Yeah, he just bounced off the wall.
Is that too much
and that
speed?
sent him down into the inside wall.
I
think he just hit the wall.
Yeah, that just bounced off the wall. I think it was Tim Knott that brought out the caution. That just happened to happen at the same time, and we're a lot more concerned about this one because Alan Young is a playoff driver. There's Tim Knott on the other side of the racetrack. See if we can figure out what happened with Tim Knott. That's Pete Baskins behind him.
Yeah, just came off the corner. Similar thing happened. Just hit the wall, bounced straight down into Baskins.
Exact same thing on opposite sides of the racetrack at the same time. Wow. Well, Peter, the rest of the field that did not pit is coming down pit road now. 7 cars on the lead lap. This is going to change the entire complexion of this race because now Greg Evans, who's been the fastest car, is going to have those fresh tires. He's going to be restarting right on the bumpers of these 3 who had pitted before him.
Yeah, and I got to rewind the tape and see if I can figure out who was the lucky dog. I think Will Worsler in the number 29 machine, folks, I think he got caught 1 lap down, one of your playoff drivers. Gonna try and see who was the first car 1 lap down when that caution flag flew. Looks like Jason Stewart in the number 1 machine was the lucky dog. There you see him. He was in the 6th position, so we will have 6 cars on the lead lap when we go back to green flag. That is pretty much unheard of here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
So here we go, gonna reset. 172, gonna be 173 on the board. When they cross the stripe this time, we'll see if the lights go out on the Chevy Silverado. John Jenkins, Chris Bouchard, Tyler Seville, your top 3, but they are on much older tires than the rest of the field now. that advantage is gone. It's now a disadvantage as we get set for a shootout time here at Bristol.
Yeah, and now all the drivers in the field have come down and used their final fresh set of Goodyear tires. 6 cars on the lead lap here at Bristol. Running in the 7th position right now is Jimmy McKee. In fact, I'm getting word McKee is still on the lead lap. So we'll have 7 cars on the lead lap when we go back to green flag. McKee is the last car on the lead lap, tail end of the longest line. But the green flag here gonna drop, and how long will it be until those fresh tires prevail here at Bristol Motor Speedway? Greg Evans been fast so long.
Now.
Oh boy, that's a big wreck.
Yeah, that's huge. That's almost the entire field. 34, Kelsey Rogers is involved. I'm looking for playoff drivers here. Jimmy McKee, Alan Young. I think I saw Adam Jersky down there. Peter, what happened on the replay?
Yeah, I don't know if that number, if Fletcher spun his tires.
Horsler. Saw Troy Haight sliding. And Brian Yazik was at the tail end of that. Did Brian Yazik make it through that? That's a question here. Said Kelsey Rogers, apologize, that's actually the 24. Rogers, as you see, was ahead of it. Oh, Fletcher and Digby get together, and there you see Worsler bounce down. And it's on from there.
I saw a little bit of a wiggle out of the number 43 machine. I think he spun the tires just a little bit. Here we go on board with AJ Digby. Watch the back end of that number 43 machine. Just a little wiggle right there, just as he got to the start-finish line. And then he got up into the outside wall. AJ Digby nowhere to go but into the back bumper. And good job there by AJ to kind of navigate the chaos. Able to get away with not a whole lot of damage, but unfortunately for the 29 machine of Will Borster, looks like he's going to get quite a bit of damage. Here we go on board with Adam Jersky, the Beef Jersey's Cheesecake Machine. Man, the seas parted for him. He was able to get on through.
I thought for sure I saw him down there, Peter. I cannot believe he got through that. Huge. The Cheesecake squeaking through again.
Now the big question is, will Adam Jersky here be the lucky dog? Will he be back on the lead lap? He might be, because he wasn't involved in that accident. He was able to squeak on through. And I am seeing on my live timing and scoring, yes, Adam Jersky is back on the lead lap. So he will be the 8th car on the lead lap when we go back to green flag here shortly. John Jenkins, Christopher Bouchard, Tyler Seville, they were able to stay in those positions. And hey, there we go. Greg Rentz's cheesecake of the race, that banana cream cheesecake that you were talking about a little bit earlier. Greg, I could go for that right now.
Yeah, that stuff's delicious. I gotta say, that was probably one of the better flavors I've ever had of cheesecake. So stay tuned. Next week, coming up at Vegas, we're going gambling, and we're going to see what next week's Cheesecake of the Race is. So make sure you set your calendars now for the ASRS Hacksaw PC's Premier Series playoff race at Las Vegas.
Yeah, great to see Dirty Bird Sim Racing jumping on board and sponsoring that one as well before we make it to Talladega. And when we do go to Talladega, it will be the Falcon Race Wraps 250 miles to determine which drivers make it through to the round of 4, the championship round here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. Rockingham, Texas Motor Speedway, Martinsville, and Phoenix will wrap up the season this year in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. And let's see if the pace truck lights turn off here. And yes, they do. So unfortunately, unable to get an interview with the driver this time around. We keep trying, folks, but these caution laps tick off very quickly here at Bristol. And of course, with this racetrack being the last great Coliseum, these drivers really have to focus to get their way around this half-mile racetrack. We'll have 8 cars on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap for this restart will be Adam Jersky, Jimmy McKee down in 7th, Jason Stewart 6th, Kelsey Rogers 5th, Greg Evans, Tyler Seville, Christopher Bouchard, and John Jenkins up at the point of the field. But Greg, pace track about to head down pit road.
Coming down, shootout time. Going to be 21 to go when we take the green flag. Greg Evans, remember, on those pressure tires. Look at Jason Stewart lurking. Haven't talked about him much as we go on board. As we take the green flag, Jenkins able to break away. Greg Evans already trying to get up there and make a move. He's already gotten past Tyler Seville. Now going after the Momentum Sim Racing teammates, bringing Rogers and Stewart with him. There you see the freight train you talked about, Peter, as we're on board Evans to the inside of Bouchard. They touch in the wall.
And that is going to have major championship implications. A whole bunch of cars involved. Yazik, one of your playoff drivers. McKee there scooting on through. But Greg Evans, fastest car we've seen all night, getting involved in that
Playoff
one.
driver as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, oh, man.
Jimmy McKee involved, Tyler Seville involved, playoff drivers aplenty in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of playoff drivers. That will bring more cars onto the lead lap. Hopefully they can get some of their damage fixed because, you know, those cars out there, those have been some fast cars, and Bouchard's been fast. Just that contact coming out of turn number 2, and it was on from there. Jason Stewart getting involved in the number 1 machine. Troy Haight got up into the air. Watch the number 28 machine enter stage right. There's Will Worcester scooting on through. Number 1 coming out of the racetrack. Look at the 28 there getting thrown up into the catch fence almost.
There's
Alan Young turned
involved.
around. Yep. Man, playoff drivers involved in this one. The 2, the 55, the 24. The 8 was able to slow up. I'm not 100% sure about Adam Jersky in the Beef Jersky's cheesecake. Remember, he was tail end of the longest line. I think he was able to whoa up in time, but at least 3 playoff drivers involved in this one. Here we go, on board with Will Worcester.
Yeah, he got through this, Peter. Oh, he did get damaged. Another driver, make it 4.
Yeah, Tyler Seville in the number 11 machine as well involved in that one. So just to run down on playoff drivers involved in that accident. Chris, we had Adam Jersky, he was able to get through. Greg Evans was 1, Tyler Seville 2, Will Worcester 3, the 24 machine Alan Young, Brian Yazik in the 55, was he involved in that one, Greg?
Down there, we're going to find out right there because there he is.
He's right behind the 24 of Alan Young, and boom, yep, there just a little bit on that one. And
oh, and then he catches Greg Evans. Remember, they've been working together. Yes, Greg is in a Chevy, whereas the rest of Loudpella Motorsports is in Ford, but Greg has been working with Loudpella Motorsports there, so those are technically teammates right there.
No, a lot of your playoff drivers, and let's see if we can bring up the point standings, because, you know, coming into tonight, we'll get one more replay of this one. It was really tight. You had to come out of Bristol, and I kind of said it was a wild card race for this very reason. Let's see if we can get this in slow motion.
And we're not even
this contact. Yeah, there's that little bit of contact. You can see the 2 comes up. I think he was expecting the 50 of Bouchard to be closer to the wall, Greg. And then they make that contact. Look at McKee and the McKee Lawn Care Services machine. There's no grass down there. That's not where you want to be. The 2, the 8, the 11, the 24, the 55, all involved here. I mean, it's easier to say which one of the playoff drivers were not involved. The 29 was involved too. I think only Jenkins and the number 69 of Jersky made it through that out of our playoff drivers. That is huge here with just 15 laps to go. You can see down there at the bottom of the screen, one to green here. Evans was involved. Worcester was involved. Seville was involved. Yazik involved. McKee involved. Alan Young involved. Yep, 6 out of our 8 involved in that accident. But we're about to go back to green here, Greg.
Green flag, and we're at 14 laps to go. Jenkins on those roller tires. We got problems again.
And Jimmy McKee, one of our playoff drivers involved in this one.
Greg
we
Evans
got
caught
more
up.
playoff drivers involved. Evans and Alan
Young.
Boy, oh boy, this is chaos. What happened here? Oh, the number 1 might have stacked up there on that restart. What happened? I think we're going to have to go to the blimp cam again for this one. Blimp cam getting a workout here tonight. I think the 8 just got a huge run on the number 1 machine. Maybe Stewart got caught sleeping or something, just didn't go. And the 8 tried to get up in front of Grant Brown. Grant Brown getting involved, and there's Alan Young piling in. Greg Evans getting a chunk of it as well. Boy, oh boy, once again, back to yellow. And this is kind of what we saw at the beginning of the race, Greg. Cautions breeding cautions. And then we had a lot of green flag running there in the middle, but here again, caution flag striking at Bristol Motor Speedway. and hitting our playoff drivers.
And it's getting worse and worse for them as Brian Yazik scoots by in the number 55. I believe he's going to be the lucky dog here on this one, as he was the first driver lap down not involved in it. Taking one more look at the 3Y TV replay.
Oh,
See right
man.
there. That's how quickly things happen at Bristol.
And then it's a parking lot at the end of the front stretch once again. Oh boy, lots of damaged race cars out there. In fact, I'm going to do a quick count here, Greg, of cars that don't have any damage. We might step away here briefly for a quick commercial to line up for the finish, but I'm going to go through the field, count the cars without any damage, and we'll be right back here on 3Y TV after a quick word from our commercials.
Life happens everywhere. Like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com.
Welcome to Sliced Pizza Bar, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both the Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Dirty Bird Sim Racing 200. Greg, we were just talking there under yellow that you get a bonus point for a incident-free race, and I went through the whole field. I counted the number of cars that didn't have any damage, and you know what the number was?
1.
0. Unless you count the pace truck, and then you might say 0. Pace truck doesn't have any damage on it, but it's only been going around this racetrack at I mean, he might have driven through some cars, but the pace truck never gets damaged in iRacing. It can go through anything, including walls sometimes, but it's going around the racetrack at 40 miles an hour. But even John Jenkins has a little bit of right side damage. So, and Kelsey Rogers in lining up second for this restart, he's got a little bit of left rear damage. But we're going to find out who's going to go to victory lane because there's going to be 8 laps to go.
Try it again, and Peter, I'm wondering now if Jenkins can get a big enough lead, if this thing stays green for the final 7 or so laps. Can he hold off the fresher tires? Look at Jersky, the 69 in third right now. Greg Evans is back in fourth.
Wrecker in the back. The number 29 machine of Will Worsler involved, another one of your playoff drivers in the outside retaining wall. We're back to caution. Contact between the 29 and the 27 coming out of turn number 2. We'll see this here on the replay. Oh man. Baskins hit the outside wall and shot down into the side of the number 29 machine. Worsler going for the spin cycle. That's not what he wants to have happen. I mean, he was on the cusp of getting a lucky dog a couple laps ago, now finds himself 15th here tonight. That's not what you want to have happen. And you see that that contact, heavy contact with the outside wall. Worsler's still lucky that he's still running, Greg. I mean, I'm not all too surprised, or I wouldn't be at all too surprised, I should say, if that engine just grenades, because Worsler's been in the wars here over the last 15, 20 laps.
Lurking on and hanging on as hard as he can, trying to finish this race out. On board with Sam Crow there in the 5.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can dial up one of the drivers. Let's see if we can dial up the number 7 machine of John Jenkins. Before I bring up John Jenkins, I just want to take a peek at the pace truck because it just went across the start-finish line. Looks like we're good here to bring him up into the 3Y TV booth. And John Jenkins, Peter Short here in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Well, I'll tell you what, definitely at one point it looked like, hey, you might have some difficulty on those older tires, but a tornado ensued behind you. And now you're going to have about a 3 or 4 lap shootout to get the checkered flag. How are you going to get the job done?
Honestly, hopefully more cautions. That pretty much sums it up.
Well, you're on slightly older tires. You got a very fast number 34 machine here. We'll let you get back to it. Best of luck here when we go back green here, John.
10-4, thanks.
All right, well, that is the Momentum Sim Racing number 7 machine of John Jenkins. Now, the pace truck lights have stayed on here, so let's see if we can possibly dial up one more driver. Let's see if we can dial up, let's see if we can get the 69 machine of Adam Jersey. Where is Adam Jersey? I don't see him. Let's see if we can get Kelsey Rogers in here into the 3-wide TV booth. Mr. Kelsey Rogers, really quick here. How are you going to get the win here?
We're gonna try to race here, guys. I'll talk to you afterwards.
All right, 10-4. We'll let him get back to it. The pace truck lights are still on here. They're going to turn off right here. And definitely Kelsey Rogers wants to be in the zone here, warming up his tires a little bit. He knows he's on fresher tires. Let's see if we can bring up that graphic up at the top of the screen that shows you just how much fresher Kelsey Rogers' tires are than John Jenkins. I mean, you can see right there, 65 laps for Jenkins, 28 for Kelsey Rogers. That's a pretty significant advantage. And look at that really damaged number 2 machine of Greg Evans there in third. Fastest car all night long, got involved in an accident. Greg, this one's going to be a tough one to call when the checkered flag falls here in just a couple laps.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting, and here we go. Natural green-white checkered attempt. This will not count as an official attempt because green flag is in the air on lap 199 as they ran. If they get back to the white flag, we're going to green-white check, or they get back to the white flag, the race is official. As they come down the backstretch, Rogers going to give it one more shot here. White flag in the air. Will we get to the line? Yes, we will. White flag, 1 lap to go.
John Jenkins defending that outside line. We've seen how difficult it has been to be passing on the low line, but Kelsey Rogers, he's got his door to the door of the 7 machine. They wash up the 7 machine into the gravel right up at the top of the track, and the 34 of Kelsey Rogers gonna come home with the win. The 69 machine gonna come home in second, and I'm sure John Jenkins gonna be a little bit rubbed the wrong way after that one, but rubbin's racing at Bristol. He got up in the marbles. There's no gravel up there, but there's plenty of marbles. That's the correct word to say, Peter. But Kelsey Rogers taking home the win here tonight. He's going to do a little bit of a burnout on the front stretch. Greg, we've said many times this year, Kelsey Rogers just needs that one race to get to victory lane. He's been fast. He's finally done it here tonight.
Got it done, Peter. He gets it done here at Bristol, lighting it up here on the front stretch. Big win for Kelsey Rogers. Hasn't run the full season, but when he is, he's always competitive, and here he is, burning it down in his first Hacksaw PC's Premier Series victory of the season.
Yeah, great job by Rogers to get himself into that position. He washed up the racetrack into that number 7 machine. John Jenkins, definitely a little bit of a heartbreak for him. He knew he was on those older tires, did everything he could to hold off. Now, there was an accident, I think, on that final lap. Jimmy McKee in the number 8 machine was actually involved in that. There was a huge accident. I take that back. There was a massive accident. The number 1 machine of Jason Stewart, the number 50, Jimmy McKee involved, Brian Yazik involved, Sam Crow involved, and you can see those cars just all stacking up. Jordan Harnish might have got a piece of this one as well. This was after the white flag was already in the air, so no caution, and the 50 of Bouchard looks like he went up into the 1, and it was on from there. AJ Digby getting a piece of it. Look at Will Warser trying to squeak on through. That kind of just sums up, Greg, the final 30 to 40 laps of this race. Just a lot of carnage out there on the racetrack.
Boy, are you glad that you're not the one having to fix these cars here at the shop here tomorrow. Let's take one more look at the finish. Kelsey Rogers, John Jenkins racing down to the finish. Let's see how it goes. You see Rogers get the nose in front. Push up the track, just a little bit of contact. and able to set sail. Jersky gave it all he had coming to the finish. That's going to be big for Jersky, Peter, because he's the highest finishing playoff driver with that, as he was able to squeak by at the very last second to get around John Jenkins.
Yeah, very impressive run for that Beef Jersey's Cheesecake Machine, and we'll have to find out if there's any cheesecake for you after this one, Greg, when we line up our post-race interviews. But we'll be right back here on 3 Wide TV, see if we get those interviews with Rogers, Jersky, and Jenkins. It's going to be some good ones here.
Welcome to Sliced Pizza Bowl, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both the Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
Every day in business starts with a number. Output, productivity, efficiency, all measured in numbers, because data drives decisions. And if fire or water damage strikes, the numbers for your business can slow or even stop. Unless you know this one, 1-800-SERVPRO, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Bristol Motor Speedway, where tonight's Dirty Bird Sim Racing 200 has come to a close. I am here standing alongside the #7 machine of John Jenkins. And John, there was a period there with about 50 laps to go where I thought you, your teammate Bouchard, and possibly even the #11 Seville might have been able to lap every other car out in the field. I mean, you were closing in on putting the 34 a lap down. But then all chaos ensued. But all things considered, I don't think you can be all too upset with third because of the tire strategy you were on. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Chris was saying, let's go, I'm going in, and I seen us go in, and everybody stayed out, and I was like, well, I guess our bed's made. And it was fun driving up through the field. Felt like you were, like Chris, he told me, felt like Superman going up through there. And yeah, we were just kind of biding our time, just like saving a little tire just in case the caution did come out. Well, I told him, I was like, well, let's just go hard, and once we get a little bit out there and try to put everybody a lap down. That way, if caution does come out, there's only 3 of us because of the lucky dog on the lead lap. And we don't really have to worry about much.
Yeah, and then all chaos ensued behind you, including some of your biggest competitors here tonight. I mean, Greg Evans involved in that contact, I think, with the #50 machine. We saw Will Worsler involved in an accident. Just a lot of championship implications, perhaps, going back to what we saw at Darlington in the first race of the last round of the playoffs, where we saw the 72 Crowbot get involved in an accident. A lot of playoff drivers involved in accidents here tonight. Luckily, you were able to get away with a top 3. I talk about how important it is to come out of Bristol, which was a bigger wild card than we expected, with a strong finish.
Yeah, I mean, Greg still had a good run. He was pretty dominant there. I was saving quite a bit whenever he was out in front of me. I just wasn't sure like how long the run was going to go, because you never know about these things at Bristol. And then caught the wall a couple times and had like 10 seconds of damage, which isn't much here, but yeah, I hate some of them guys had trouble. I hate seeing guys have bad races. But, I mean, we'll just take a third and head on to, I don't even know where we're going next week. So I would like to go out the win though to just advance myself, but I'll move on to next.
Well, the next race is in Las Vegas. And if you turn back time to the second race of the season, the Victory Lane Quick Oil Change 200, guess who went to Victory Lane at Vegas earlier this year? It was you. So I'm sure you're looking forward to going to Vegas next week.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that before the race because I kind of putting together like a little mini plan if tonight didn't go well. So I was kind of glad Las Vegas was next.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I want to get a good run in at Vegas before going to the true wild card that is Talladega in 2 weeks' time. But before we let you go, John, you got any shout outs for us?
Oh yeah, Momentum Sim Racing, Brandon, Chris, Jordan, Travis, and all the other Momentum guys that I always chat with here and there throughout the week, and we have a good time. You guys, 3YTV, Hacksaw PCs for putting on the series sponsor, American Sim Racing Series, Jim Foose, Stan Maxwell, they do quite a bit behind the scenes. MPI, Max Pappas Innovations. I was hoping to have Super Clean on tonight, but old Jordan Berry didn't get the paint together in time, but that's all right. MPI's been awesome. I love using the wheel, and I think that's it.
All right. Well, John, going back to familiar territory where you got your first win of the season, Las Vegas next week. Best of luck there, bud.
Yep, appreciate it.
All right, and I do think just in time, Mr. Greg Rentz, the Cheesecake fan himself, has caught up with Mr. Cheesecake. Greg, take it away.
The stars have finally aligned, Adam. The Cheesecake Men are here on 3YTV. Second place tonight at Bristol, man. How in the world did you pull that off?
You know, I wish I could tell you. It was just right place at the right time for everything. From that caution where I got the lucky dog, I think I was like the fourth car in line for the lucky dog, and they just all wrecked in front of me, and it just worked out that I found a hole to go through and skated right by, and then got the lucky dog, and then they just kept wrecking, and eventually I was up to third, I should say, and then I think starting out of the inside with Greg outside of me, I just couldn't get quite going like I wanted to, and then I just wasn't close enough for the drama in turns 3 and 4 there. But other than that, I mean, second place, this is good competition here. I never thought I'd be in the top 3 or at this point get a top 5. It's my first top 5 of the year, so it's exciting to finally get something in that column, and hopefully we can keep this up the rest of the playoffs.
And Adam, a big comment here is you were the highest finishing playoff driver in this race. That is huge going into Las Vegas, a city known for hitting the jackpot. If you can hit the jackpot next week in Vegas, you have a good shot of getting yourself into the championship race here. Are you excited to be going to Vegas next week?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a track where you can kind of control your destiny more than Bristol here or Talladega the following week. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think finishing second is definitely going to help in the points, just to feel better going into it. I know it's still very close, and the competition is very good with the other 7 cars, but definitely having a strong run here and this little breathing room is going to be very, very nice moving forward.
Well, Adam, this week it was banana cream pie cheesecake, so we're going to have your help here with this one. What kind of cheesecake are we going to have next week here in Las Vegas?
Well, next week, let's see. Vegas. What's Vegas known for? Strippers. Yeah, No, I was gonna have a stripper pop out of the cheesecake. Maybe that would. I don't know what flavor it would be, but it'd be stripper flavored, I guess. But
Yeah. We can work with that. We can figure something out.
yeah. Everyone, I don't know. Some people might not like it, but I think majority of people would. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see what's on the menu for this week. I have to do something big for our best finish here this season.
Definitely best finish of the season. First top 5, first podium finish. Adam, who do you want to thank? It's been a long time since you got to thank some sponsors on here.
Yeah, well, of course, have to thank the primary sponsor, Beef Jerky's Cheesecakes Emporium. I have to thank Jordan Harnish for also supporting Beef Jerky's Cheesecakes, and also my marketing, PR, security, modeling secretary, Mark Reiser back home in Detroit. It's nice to, I know they've been waiting for a shout out, so it's, I'm sure they're very happy and excited to hear that.
Second place, so best finish of the season for you here tonight, Adam. Second place at Bristol and the highest finishing playoff driver. Congratulations.
Yep, thanks guys, appreciate it.
All right, well, that was the number 69 machine of Adam Jersky, and Greg, great to see him finally pick up the top 5 here this season. But I've made my way up here to the top of the building here in the center of the racetrack, because that's where Victory Lane here is at the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway. And Kelsey Rodders, Greg and I have said it all season long. When you've been in the field, you've just been waiting for that race to get to Victory Lane. You've had speed. You've definitely flirted with top 5s almost every single time you've been on the racetrack. But here tonight, you had the opportunity given to you. And boy, did you talk us through those last few laps.
Yeah, we finally got it off our back in this league. I don't know what it is, but this league, I've been chasing a win for, I don't know, I think about a year and a half now. But we just had fresher tires. I knew John was in the chase. Obviously I'm not, so the only way I was going to hit him is if I knew I could get to his door. You know, he's one of the guys in this league that you can race good with. So I kind of took advantage of that tonight, and we got the win.
Yeah, that's kind of a sorry, not sorry there, Kelsey. But, great to see you finally get to Victory Lane. At one point, it looked like you might even fall down a lap there with about 50 laps to go when Jenkins was on fresh tires and just kind of running away with the show. What was going through your mind at that point? Were you thinking about that at all, or were you just kind of running your laps as hard as you could?
I mean, at that point, it didn't matter how hard I was running. We were pretty much scrubbed up there on the tires. So I saw him coming. I knew if he got around me, we were in trouble. So, you know, if he would have just made it 50 feet farther and got around me, it would have been a different race, and he probably would have had it mopped up. I think overall, on overall speed, Greg had the fastest car tonight, but we were a close second, I think, and I think John was third. So, it was a good race.
Yeah, definitely. You showed a ton of pace there in the middle portion of the race. I was extremely impressed because on that first long green flag run that we had, you were back around the 7th, 8th position or so. I mean, you didn't have a great qualifying run here tonight. Started back in 15th. And you were one of the few drivers to really make passes on that inside groove. What was it about that inside line that really worked for you tonight?
You know, I think with the dynamic track, the top line just gets so hot that if you know how to run down there, you can make it work and keep the tires under it too. Hats off. It's not very often you get that many green flag laps here at Bristol. It got a little frustrating there at the end. I think that's kind of why I had to get around John the way I did, is just ran out of time with everybody deciding to wreck for 20th place. But, in the middle part of the run there, it really helped me out when I got that green flag run for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A very, very strong race for you here tonight. Finally able to get that monkey off the back, like you said. But next week we have the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Las Vegas 200 out in Las Vegas. Are you going to be in that race? Of course, you've been running kind of part-time this season, and if so, what are your thoughts about Vegas?
I think we'll be here. Vegas is kind of the same. It's bigger than here, obviously, but it's a track where, whoever can save the most tires and get the strategy right with tire conservation and the the green flag run that you get, whoever matches that combo up is going to be fast, and that's probably what it's going to be all about.
Yeah, definitely hoping to see a strong run out of you there. I know it didn't go your way earlier this year. Hate to remind you, but you finished 36th in the second race of the season back at Vegas. And I think even back then we were talking about the monkey that you had on your back. But finally throwing it off here tonight, and definitely I'm sure you have shout-outs for us here on 3 Wide TV.
Not really. Shout out to you guys. Sorry for cutting you short there. Ready to go back green. I I was a little frustrated with all the yellow flags that we had been getting and had to decide what I was going to do. So sorry about that. But nope. Shout out to Cody and Jimmy. Cody had a rough night. So I know Jimmy, he's in the chase. So I don't know where he panned out tonight because he had a little bit of rough luck at the end there. But other than that, that's about it.
All right. Well, congratulations, Kelsey. I'm sure you will have some good finishes now that you got the monkey off your back. Hopefully that can stay true and you can close out the 2020 Hacksaw PC Premier Cup Series with more good runs. So I wish you best of luck, and maybe we'll get to talk to you again here soon in the 3Y TV booth.
Yeah, I hope so. When you get one, hopefully we can get a few more. Thanks, Peter.
All right. Yeah, like you said, sometimes you get one win and then it's like a waterfall. You get a bunch of them all in a row. And Greg, I know you've seen that in the past, and hopefully we can see that out of Kelsey Rogers because he's been due one for quite some time.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. We've seen it time and time again with Kelsey Rogers. Making the race always fast, just hasn't been able to put it together. Does it here tonight, Peter. He led only one lap all night, but it was the most important one.
Yeah, isn't that pretty cool? I think we saw something similar to that last year here in the American Sim Racing Premier Cup Series. So I think it was Bristol between a couple of competitors. I think Will Worcester was involved in that finish with the last lap pass. That was a good one. So definitely these drivers know how to put on a show in the closing laps at Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's see if we can dial up the race results for you. Like we said, Kelsey Rogers taking home his first win of the season. Adam Jersky coming home in second. More importantly, though, Adam Jersky, the highest finisher of the playoff drivers. John Jenkins, another playoff driver, finishing in third. Greg Evans, another playoff driver, finishing in fourth. Tyler Seville, another playoff driver, finishing in fifth. So second through fifth are your top four here, and they will have the advantage going into Las Vegas. Remember, the top four in points after Talladega 2 weeks from now will make it into the round of four and go for the championship. Jason Stewart coming home in sixth. Brian Yazek, playoff driver, in seventh. Christopher Bouchard in the number 50. Almost made it into this current round. Just missed out last week at the Roval. Tim Knott coming home in ninth. Good finish for that number 41 machine. He had quite a bit of pace all night long. Jimmy McKee, playoff driver, rounding out your top 10 there, Greg.
Will Worcester, the pole sitter, led one lap and comes home 11th. First car, one lap down, so he'll look for a bounce back in Vegas next week, along with Grant Brown finishing 12th, Troy Haight 13th, Alan Young, AJ Digby round out the top 15. Then you got Sam Crow, Pete Baskins, John Van Varelis, Michael Whiting, and rounding out the top 20 tonight, Richard Stallings, a quiet night.
Yeah, definitely that number 17 machine, got involved in a couple of accidents and finishing down there in that 20th position. In the 21st position, the number 32 machine of Jordan Harnish in that Beef Jerky's Cheesecakes tied ride. We had one Beef Jerky's Cheesecakes machine almost get the win and one finish down in 21st. So kind of a mixed bag for them. Richard Fletcher coming home in 22nd. Brandon Stokes 23rd. This is a bunch of drivers, folks, who did not finish here tonight. Lee Staples in the StepTire.com number 26, finishing 24th. Woody Mahan 25th. Doug Mullins in the number 18 machine, one of the Will Worcester racing machines who did not have a good night, 26th. Tanner Sharp 27th. Brad Lee 28th. James Lorello 29th. Michael Krobach rounds out your top 30. He, of course, was eliminated in the last round and would go no further in the playoffs. And rounding out your 34-car field here tonight, Clarence Bonner, Alex Giese, Cody Spiker, and Craig Sykes, who did not start here tonight. A tough break for a couple of those drivers, not even making it 10 laps into this race here tonight. But Greg, going to be really interesting next week at Las Vegas in the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Vegas 200, especially with what has all transpired here tonight. Definite championship implications for some drivers, perhaps. We'll have to find out how this all plays out. What are you expecting at Vegas?
Expecting a lot of drivers to roll the dice, as they say in Vegas, Peter. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And can we get our first driver to officially punch their ticket to the championship race? We'll find out next week in Las Vegas. Coming up here, the mile and a half. Don't miss it. It's going to be a wild card and a wild race.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one right here. Same place, same time on 3Wide TV. If you made it this far, remember to give the video a like. It definitely helps out the channel, helps out the video, so you can help get the American Sim Racing Series exposed to more people, as well as us here at 3Wide TV. We want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we brought to you here tonight. Always a great subscription on YouTube, so go check them out. But for myself, Peter Short, Carlos Acosta, and Mr. Greg Rance, we'll see all of you guys rolling the dice next week at Vegas. See ya!